Let's be clear about this. Women are not nearly as enigmatic as they would have you believe. Complex, certainly, but beyond comprehension. Not in the slightest. The fact is that every woman has emotional vulnerabilities, concealed soft spots that can be accessed by deftly pressing them, regardless of how confident, composed, or mysterious she may be. The noise, and cut straight to the heart of the matter. And I'm not talking about manipulation. I'm referring to consciousness, stoic understanding. Because in contrast to other guys who are worn out from trying to be likable or constantly accommodating, you will be the one who is calm, composed, and in all the right ways dangerous. In this video, we're exploring the 9 most common female weaknesses that men should be aware of in order to avoid being manipulated, not in order to play tricks. You will be amazed by some of these. Some of them will make you grin, and others may merely tell you why you broke up with someone you never understood. Prepare yourself then, because you're about to discover something that will turn your ideas about attraction on its head. Press the subscribe button if you're sick of uncertainty and want to take charge. This isn't about being the nice guy. This is about transforming into the man that no woman ever forgets. Let's get started. Let's go for it. When the government does this, it makes it harder for individuals to seek assistance from outside sources. First, having unwavering self-assurance. Men rarely become aware of this until it is too late. Noise isn't what really captivates a woman. It is its presence. Studies on behavioral psychology reveal that individuals instinctively mimic the emotional baseline of the person they are interacting with. Consider that in the context of attraction. She absorbs the frequency of neediness, insecurity, and excessive explanation that you bring into the space, and she retreats from what you project. However, you will disarm rather than simply attract if you enter with a cool, grounded, and unwavering confidence that doesn't need to be expressed. That is the true vulnerability. Not ostentatious assurance, not the performance itself. However, the type of self-assurance that doesn't waver in silence, doesn't break when she backs away, and doesn't require outside approval to feel deserving. In an effort to show that they are sufficient, the majority of men tend to overpromise, overgive, and overtalk. Not understanding that the more they pursue, the less she feels, they lavish her with affirmation. For this is the contradiction. The only time she feels secured is when you no longer attempt to win her over. Stoicism teaches you that lesson. To maintain the line. To behave, not react. In the face of trials, mood swings, and mind games, maintain your composure. A woman's greatest emotional need is not control. It's containment. She wishes to experience your stability. Direction, not domination. Rather than noise, there is quiet. You send a message that is louder than any compliment when you are able to sit in pain without being rattled and maintain your composure without cowering. You're not trying to woo her. You are here to stand on your own 2 feet and ask her to join you, not to carry her. That's more than simply beautiful. It's addictive. And the majority of men never get there since they spend their lives trying to establish themselves rather than actually becoming themselves. Posture is not a sign of confidence. It's inner stillness. She then leans in, not because you forced her to, but because you didn't have to. That's the kind of vibe that dominates the space and the mind under 2. Being understood without having to explain everything. As we get older in life, there comes a time when emotional exhaustion replaces emotional outbursts, because we have come to understand the price of trying to justify ourselves to those who never intended to listen, not because we have lost our emotions. Silence turns into a shield for several women, notably those who have carried emotional burdens all their lives. It wasn't a tranquil existence, but rather one brought about by exhaustion. The exhaustion of being ignored, misunderstood, or branded as tough for simply verbalizing their innermost thoughts. The majority of men fail at this point. Out of carelessness, not malice. They are too preoccupied with preparing a reaction, resolving the issue, or avoiding pain to see what is actually occurring in front of them. However, the guy who can pause, who can glance into her distance, and not seek clarity, but maintain his presence, that man disarms her without saying a thing. I previously knew a woman in her late 60s who had gone through 2 marriages and experienced more suffering than she displayed. The second she fell in love again, she said, was not during a great talk or romantic gesture. She only sat next to him when he realized she wasn't acting like herself. No advice, no probing, simply warm silence. She claimed that it was the first time in years that she had felt seen. According to the Stoics, wisdom comes from perception rather than from words, in feeling without the need for command, by watching without making assumptions. Modern men have lost that ability. However, the ability to be felt rather than analyzed is precisely what today's women desire. To be comprehended without being acted out. Grand gestures or clever lines are not the way to get to one of the most profound emotional openings in a woman's heart. It's a steady, silent attentiveness. It's your ability to see her suffering without minimizing it or attempting to remedy it. Your ability to hold space, not provide answers, is your power. Furthermore, in a society where people are constantly in a hurry to talk, the guy who learns to experience without responding becomes memorable because of how intently he pays attention, not because of what he says. Underscore, 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 underscore. 3. Knowing when to maintain a masculine silence. Some silences are healing, while others are destructive. The feeling of abandonment, the cold shoulder, the deliberate distance designed to punish is overwhelming. However, the other type, which emanates from someone who has learned to control his feelings, is a whole different force. Presence is that stillness. Furthermore, only a select few men attain the maturity necessary to live it. When faced with emotional stress, the majority of people become frightened. They overspeak, overjustify, and over-explain, believing that noise equals control. However, it only demonstrates a lack of emotional control in practice. A man who responds to any temptation demonstrates that his inner self is still in the process of being built. And women, they pay attention. Viscerally, if not always consciously. They perceive the flaws in your tranquility. They are able to tell when your silence is motivated by fear rather than bravery. However, what about a man who keeps his mouth shut out of conviction rather than arrogance, and who chooses silence while others are eager to talk? That person is functioning at a higher level. You have power over your mind, not outside events, as Marcus Aurelius put it. Realize this, and you will have strength. Retreating is not what silence is all about. It's about maintaining your position without expending energy on turmoil. Your best defense is not your language when a woman puts you to the test, when emotions are high, or when a discussion becomes manipulative. It's your self-control, the ability to take a break, to take a breath, to experience the storm without becoming it. Although speech may be silver, silence is gold when it is timely. Seneca said, "This is especially important for men as they deal with the emotional burden of relationships. The less impact your words have, the more you reactively respond. However, your silence demands attention when it arises from a grounded awareness rather than from avoidance. It deserves respect. She will experience it, even if she doesn't grasp it right away. And that kind of presence is alluring in a world overrun by noise. Therefore, quit associating silence with weakness. Under pressure, real men don't become frightened. It's anchored. Not every argument needs to be won. You have to earn your peace, and sometimes that starts with saying nothing at all.